What's going on, boys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed the last video. We ran into a couple problems. We replaced all 3 coolant temp sensors and the fan still hasn't kicked on. So if you haven't seen that yet, it'll be up here. There'll be a card, you'll see it. Check that video out because I need a little bit of help, but you guys have helped me. There's a couple comments on there and stuff I want to check out today, mainly with the ECU and the wiring. I can't see, I don't think that's ever been touched by me, but maybe someone else did it 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't even remember when I got the car. But I want to check out that pin. I believe it's in the connector A. One of them is responsible for the fan. And then I also have a few diagrams for this chassis harness and the ECU to see if the pinouts are the same, because there is little discrepancies here and there, although most of the OBD1 stuff should be plug and play. Another thing we have to do is jack this car up and try and, I guess, raise the suspension as much as I can, because I can't even pull the thing in head first. As you notice, it's backed in here. That's the only way I can get into my shop. If I drive head on, the traction bar just collides with the concrete slab and the car goes nowhere. It'll just sit into a rolling burnout right there if you try to push it. So I'd like to jack this thing up. It is far too low. I don't really know what these coils are. I got them secondhand, but I'm starting to think they're maybe for a different chassis, that the height adjustment doesn't need to be as much as an EG, because I feel like they're already maxed out. We've gone through this a few times. Either that or they're just like extreme low coils. So regardless, we have to look at that. And then we also have the fuel pump injectors, map sensor, and spark plugs to do. I also got a compression tester so we can compression test it, but I'm a one-man army, so it's kind of hard to crank the car and see when the gauge stops at the same time. Regardless, there's a ton of work to do today. Let's see what we can get scratched off the list. All right, so if we're gonna try and compression test this ourselves, there's no fuse for fuel pumps. So we're gonna have to either pull the main relay under the dash or quickly rip off the rear seat and just get to the sending unit and disconnect it. We have to do the fuel pump anyway, so I might as well get that going instead of dealing with the main relay. We have a new fuel pump to go in it, so might as well start ripping up the back seats and whatnot. And then once we compression test it, we can get the actual numbers, make sure this engine's healthy and not down a lot of compression on a hole. As long as the numbers are even, I'm good with that. Then what we can start doing is maybe even put the fuel pump in with the new spark plugs, map sensor, and injectors, things like that. Might even get to adjusting some of the suspension today. But I'd really like to get this thing compression checked, so let's start by ripping up the rear seat and getting to the sending unit. Rear seats out, and there is our sending unit. Looks like 4 Phillips and we should be set. Alright guys, now that the fuel pump is fully disconnected, we have got our compression tester. And hopefully I can do this by myself, because I'm not going to be able to tell when it stops. So that's going to be the interesting part. I'm probably going to put the camera on it and set a standard of like maybe 6 or 7 cranks on each hole and kind of see what we get from there. But now it's time to pull the valley cover off, spark plug wires, and the spark plugs, and then we'll get to compression testing. Okay, spark plugs are out. Let's throw the compression tester in. We're gonna start here and work down, see what we get. With how I have it set up, I might be able to see it from in the car. Oh, I totally can. That's fucking perfect. Oh no. That's not good, boys. This is not good. Oh, fuck. Not even 200? Oh no. Well, it's even at least so far, but it's 130, 140. Dead even again. I don't know why the reading is so low, but they're dead even. And once again, right about 140. Well, boys, I don't really know what to think about that. They were all even, within less than 5% of each other, which is great. That's how you want it to be. That means all holes are acting the same. You're not down a hole. But that should be way closer to 200, and I didn't even hit 150. They were all at about 140, and when I got this engine, it was 210. This engine has never been boosted before. I never sprayed nitrous or ran it boosted until now, and I haven't even gotten to drive it yet. I just bought it, drove it NA with the OEM ECU, and then I got a Honda and got it tuned by Nabil Tune, which the tune was amazing, and everything was good. And then this winter I went to go boost it, and once again everything's good, but compression checked 140 across the board. You're gonna have to leave that in the comments below. Do I run it or do I pull it? I was expecting to at least see 180 to 200, not 140. I don't really know what to do now. Okay boys, so that was a cold compression test. Now I'm warming up the car. We're gonna do a hot compression test. From what I read online, it should be, your engine should be warm to get the most accurate numbers. Can you do it cold? Yes, but you'll get a better number doing it warm. So we got about 140 across the board with it cold. I'm gonna let it warm up and we're gonna see what it does hot. Fingers crossed, because 140 is not good. Apparently you can do a compression test when the engine's on a stand. Put the compression tester in and spin it over by hand. We're gonna see if we get any numbers doing that, because if the B18's good compression, better than the B16, we might just be pulling it and going back to square one and actually using the B18. So I'm gonna drop this compression tester in, we're gonna spin it by hand and see what happens. I've never done a compression test by hand. Just had a buddy look it up online and let me know. Eli, if you remember him from the old videos, he gave me this idea. So we're gonna thread this in. That's pretty tight. We're gonna spin it over by hand and see what we get. We got nothing. Okay boys, engine is warm. Let's go ahead and run the same test and I will show you guys the results as we see them. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Okay boys, it's looking better. We got pretty well 180 there. Wish you guys could see, there we go. Pretty well 180 there, let's go. What do we got on hole 2? Again, like 179, 180, perfect. Looking better boys. What do we got, hole 3? Beautiful boys, let's go. Looking a lot better now that it's warm. The last hole boys. Identical across the board. Let's fucking go. So there we have it boys, warm compression test, good to go, 180 across the board. I guess you're supposed to do these warm is preferable. So bone cold hasn't been running approximately a week. And it read about 140 across the board. Warm, we're at 180 across the board. Perfect. We should be meant. Leave it in the comments below, cold versus warm. What do you guys think on our two results? And for now, I'm gonna go ahead, put the 2-step Kohler spark plugs in, make sure they're gapped accordingly, and then we're gonna move on to the fuel pump. All right guys, so here we have some BKR 7s. You can go 7s or 8s. I was able to get the 7s a little bit quicker, so I went with the 7s. Open them up, and we have to gap them to that 0.002. So we're gonna get that gapped and see how we do. So these plugs come gapped at 0.028 and the tuner wants 0.02, but these are super fragile plugs, so I think I might just check all of them to make sure they're all 0.28 and I might just leave them there. It's kind of tough to gap iridium plugs being how fragile they are. You can do it, but that's already a really tight tolerance being 0.28, so the lowest it can go is 0.20, so I might just leave them there. I'm going to check all the gaps and we'll come back. Okay, all the plugs are the same, gapped at about 0.028. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave them there. That should be fine for our application. Let's go quickly install these, put that back together, and move on to the fuel pump. Spark plug's installed, time for a fuel pump. Okay boys, well it's like pretty well impossible for me to show you in there, but right on top is a banjo bolt and right beside is a hose clamped hose. Take those off, take off all the 10 mils there, and then the pump and sending unit will come out, and then we'll put it on the bench, install the new pump, and we'll be good to go. Fuel pump out. The thing that stuck me the most is that return line right there with that clamp on it. It must have got seized or something, and I ended up having to break it off to get it out, but tank looks good, fuel looks good. Pump is out right here. Now it's time to replace the pump and the sock. Does to me look like the stock fuel pump. It's unmarked as well, so it might even be a Chinese replacement, but let's see if the clips work. If not, we might have to do a little bit of wiring and we should be all set. All right, let's tuck this to the side. Let's wipe our table clean and see what we're working with. The hybrid racing kit includes butt connectors, wire. We got a couple butt connectors. We got an extension clip. We've got a hose if we needed a hose. We've got 2 clamps, which is perfect. Obviously we have the pump, hybrid racing, 335 liter per hour at 40 PSI. Everything looks standard and the same as our pump in there now. Then we have the sock and the new clip. That's something you gotta be really careful for, is that little clip right there. Basically the first thing we're gonna do is get this sock off, and to do it, there is a clip that's right in there. And that's quite hard to get off, and they like to go shooting. So take the connector out. First and foremost, let's just see if this connector works. It might. Look at that, it just plugs right in. We don't have to do any wiring at all. That is amazing. That is perfect. I didn't want butt connectors dangling around in my damn fuel pump. All right, well, needless to say, I'm glad it comes with another one, because that one just went, oh, I found it. It fell in my freaking lap. Make sure if yours doesn't come with that, you don't lose that, because I was just about to write that off entirely. That is important. Now, all right, there goes our sock. So once you get that little circle metal piece in there, take the sock, pry it up like this, and it'll come right out. There's our old decrepit sock compared to the new one. Little bit of a difference there. Now the pump should just slide right out. You got one hose connector here. We're gonna go ahead, peel that back, slide the pump off, and all should be well. Okay, I really didn't want to crack it, so I ended up just cutting it off. It was so seized on there. Looks like we do have more hose than we actually need. I'm probably just going to continue to use the Honda OEM clips. Don't mind if I just rob these. Whoops. Jesus. Alright, old decrepit fuel pump out. Now we can't put the sock on till we have the new pump installed. Keep that in mind. So we're going to take our new pump, make sure you got all the silicone shit off of it. Just like that. And then just as our new pump, or just as our old pump, it's going to go just like that. So hose is going to go on here. That end is going to connect to the little nipple in there. And then boom, the clip's going to go on there. The sock's going to go on there. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, they give you far too much hose. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it to how Honda cut it, and we'll be back. Alright, so after all, it doesn't look like we need this connector or the butt connectors, which is honestly just fantastic. We are going to need the fuel sock little lock key there, but Hybrid Racing supplies a new one. Now that the hose is in, clamp 1 is on, clamp 2 is on, and the connector is perfectly made for this car, no wiring involved, we can go ahead, take our new fuel sock and clip and get it installed. Don't forget to take this out of the fuel sock. Alright boys, and just like that, our Hybrid Racing fuel pump is installed. There it is right there. We got that little ring on the sock. That was probably honestly the hardest part, was getting that reseated. It's almost like it's a little too big for the space in between the actual sock pickup and that little nipple there. But we were able to get it on. Hopefully it should stay on and not go anywhere. Now I'm going to install this back in the car. It's super simple. One clip here, one clip on the car, banjo bolt, washer on the bottom, washer on top, and then the fuel line. And I'm going to use one of these new clamps for this fuel line in the car, and we should be good. We'll pick it back up when we go to fire it up with the new fuel pump installed. And just like that, fuel pump is back in the car. There we have it. So you got that banjo bolt, hose clamp, clip 1 and clip 2. Batteries connected. Let's see if we hear anything. Fingers crossed, fellas. Fingers crossed. Holy. That sounds a lot different than the last one. It's not so much of a as it is a whoosh. Dang. All right. Fire it up. Sick. Let's check for leaks. Looking okay so far. Let's go check the fuel pressure regulator, make sure it's regulating the same. Yeah. It was just a titch under 40 below, or before, and now it's right at 40. Let's go, boys. Fuel pump installed. Alrighty, boys, and that's everything I've got for you today. We did a compression check, and this video we got spark plugs and the big fuel pump in there, and everything is working mint. Next, it's map sensor and injectors, and we gotta get this thing tuned. If you guys are liking the build, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on another video. And until next time, boys, we're out of here. Peace out.